Hey guys, welcome to Bring Back the Girls. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. I'm so happy to have you here. So today we finally have Cat's Part 2 video. I know it's been so long, but I really wanted to get those reaction videos since it was Worlds and I wanted to, talk a little bit about the routines now before I posted the second cat video. So it's finally here. I edited it and it's ready for you guys. This video does not have any edits in it, unfortunately. I didn't have the time to edit it the way I typically do, so I apologize for that, but it's still a great video. I do want to just give a warning. Kat and I do discuss athlete safety in this video, so we talk about Netflix cheer and the Jerry situation and just different situations that we have seen within the cheer world. So if that is triggering to you or you want to skip over that, please do, or you can watch some of my other videos. But we do talk about the cheerleading world and how we need to protect minors within All-Star Cheer. Just letting you guys know before we start. I am so excited for you guys to watch part 2. So yeah, I'll stop rambling and I'll see you at the end of the video. And now you coach Acro, right?
Yeah, I do. Well, in 2019, I wanted to kind of get back to my roots, and my roots are in gymnastics. And I think like now everyone knows what transpired in USA Gymnastics for elite gymnasts. And it was really horrible what we all had to like go through, like physically, mentally, and emotionally. The fact that I had such a poor relationship with my sport because of things that I couldn't control, and other girls, like little girls, also had such a poor experience. My whole motto was like, I had such a positive experience from cheer. It's like, how can I give that same positive experience that I had in cheer? And how can I recreate that back into gymnastics? Because people should do the sport that they love in an environment where they feel safe and where they feel positive. So I was like, how do I combine this like positive environment I want to give to kids, the love I have for cheer, and kind of like what's a sport that does kind of all the above? And that was acrobatics and tumbling. And it was kind of blowing up. A bunch of our teammates went and did at college. Tony, Sophia, Katie Bach, like even now, like Kira and a few others, like they're all doing it. And so I was like, okay, why don't these programs exist at the youth level then? So I started the gym back in 2019, and now we're on our 5th season. So we're going into our 6th season.
I don't know too much about that. So is it kind of like All-Star where you have like different teams that compete, or is it just like a program where you're building skills?
So you definitely have different teams. So you have novice, youth, junior, senior. Then there's levels 1 through 4 right now. 4 is like the highest elite level. 1 is like your developmental program. So you put together your team, and kind of the cool thing about it is there's events. So the way that in like artistic gymnastics, you have vault, bars, beam, and floor. In acro and tumbling, you have acro, which is your stunt, toss, pyramid, tumbling, and then you have your team event, which is like it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds to music. So it embodies a lot of the same as like all-star cheer. There's some rules that make it a little more boring in my opinion, but you still get to have that kind of a little bit of creativity.
I did go to an acro meet to see Kira and Nicolette, and I really had no idea what was going on, but they won, so that's all that matters. But they were doing like obviously incredible skills, and I was just like, that's cool. And they would put like the score. I was like, okay, they're ahead.
Yeah, you're right. Like I can't imagine like going in first time, like looking at it being like, what is actually happening here? Like feels like nothing, but then there's score flashes, and then you see something like ridiculously cool and you're like, whoa, like what the hell was that stunt? Like what did I just watch? Acrobatic gymnastics is its own discipline. So like USAG has an umbrella, and under USAG you have like artistic gymnastics, which is like what Simone Biles does. Then you have acrobatic gymnastics, TNT, GFA, men's gymnastics, and rhythmic gymnastics. So there's like a whole world of gymnastics under gymnastics.
I didn't even know that. That's good to
Yeah.
know.
A lot of people just assume gymnastics is this. And really, it's kind of like a whole bunch of flavors. There's a lot to choose from in gymnastics.
Very cool. I was sad when I went to see them. I didn't get to see the Baylor team.
So the school that Kira's at and the school, that we're talking about, Baylor, they kind of created the sport in Oregon and a few others. So seeing them now, like a decade later, just like it's insane. And how many all-star cheerleaders
Oh my
go
God.
into it. It's amazing.
It's grown ever since, like, I remember when Kelsey Rowland Tony got recruited to, and then to when Sophia Rani, who's my age, got, like, the changes that have been made within the sport from when they were on the team to, like, Sophia was just crazy. Like, I think more scholarships were given. But I remember Katie Bachman went for the NCAA. I remember her posting about that. Like,
Yeah, that was really cool time. So like kind of like that transition period. So when Tony and Kelsey were like graduating out of their programs, so when like Katie and Sophia were kind of in the thick of it, they got NCAA status, which is like this emerging sports status, which does like from that on, that level of support and kind of like visibility into what you're going to become, it becomes so much more amplified and magnified. You get more resource and attention focused on that. So like all of a sudden it went from like 10 schools to 35 schools, and all of a sudden 35 schools to now like 65 schools. And because it's NCAA, like now you can stack more scholarships. You can get athletic and academic. You can like do all these things, and now there's like conferences and all this craziness. So it's like, yeah, it's become really serious. And that's why we're trying to like, the way I thought about it was like something that Miss Pascal always told us, and something she just is like she pioneered all-star cheerleading. Like it was like her and a few others, and like she made the sport what it is today, and that doesn't exist in A&T. It's like me and my mom, a couple of others in Texas. There's now a gym in New York, and like that's it. And we're kind of like where they were 30 years ago. So we're trying to like push. And I take so much back from like the days of being on Stars, because Miss Pascal kind of, she alluded a lot to it. She talked a lot about being a pioneer in our sport. And like that always sat with me forever. And that's like kind of why I was like, we got this. We can do this. It's a little crazy, but we can do this.
oh, most definitely. I'm just gonna patiently be waiting and watch you guys grow. But yeah, Acro is definitely kind of taking over, in my opinion, because NCAA, like, it's incredible that they improved that. Like, that's just gonna,
Yeah.
that's what my mom was hoping was gonna happen with All-Star Cheer. Varsity never let it happen because they kind of
Yeah.
clear, like, no, we're selling our products. Like, that's what cheer is about. And we won't get into that rabbit hole, but that's why they never could make it to NCAA, like that status, or even bring it to college.
It's so sad. It really is, because I think we all wanted that. Like we work so hard for our sport and we want it to be recognized to a point where like we can get opportunity at the collegiate level. Once you're like apprised to all the kind of like inner workings behind the scenes, like knowing that not only is it not going to happen, it's never going to happen. It sucks. It sucks because now you're forcing kids to kind of like change a sport where yeah there's opportunity there, but like shouldn't everyone just get a chance to do the sport that they love? There's so many different things that go into it, but like that is the reason why stunt was created, was because cheer will never be allowed to be an NCAA sport. And so they had to make stunt, and like now because stunt is like sponsored by Varsity would have to disassemble as a monopoly in order for it to be like full blown NCAA. So it's like all these like things where you're like, oh, this is so political. Like at the end of the day, it's just these kids that work really, really hard. And like now I get it. Like cheer athletics has a stunt team. Brandon's gonna have a stunt team. Like these massive gyms are putting together stunt programs because they still want to give their kids that NCAA opportunity or, a collegiate opportunity. And I think that's like stunt and A&T kind of really, they're very similar, but they have like very large differences that definitely separate them.
Yeah, I'm really happy that Acro, pushed through and is not like cheer in that way. So
Me too.
this will be the 10th year. 2014 World. What are some of your thoughts on the changes that have occurred within cheer for like the past 10 years?
Oh my God. First of all, like a decade, I can't, like I just blink. Like I'm like, what? Like there's been so many things I personally think have changed for the better. It took bad things to happen for good things to fall in place. I think one of those quote unquote bad things to happen was kind of the curtain falling for USAG. Like when all of that transpired, people were coming forward and being like, hey, just like realizing like that's not right. Coaches shouldn't be treating like that. Coaches shouldn't be talking to you like that. Coaches shouldn't be texting minors, things like that. I think those changes in the cheer world were so necessary, like so necessary. And they didn't exist. Like there wasn't strict enough reporting and policy like in place 10 years ago. Whereas like now I feel like there's a lot more safeguards for kids, which that's like, I'll live and breathe and die on that hill. Like that's what was always needed. And I think another massive change is definitely tumbling technique. It's always consistently gotten better. And that makes me so happy to see. You really saw like on the score sheet, you started to see things like judges saying, layout shaping or round off shaping or feet apart and twisting. Whereas like 10 years ago, you could still do a double full that landed like 3/4 and you jumped in and like, oh, that counted. Versus like now you wouldn't even get credit for that skill. I know some coaches get annoyed because they're like, oh, they're dinging me for bent knees or they're dinging me for cross legs and tumbling, but it's a safety issue. Like if your legs are crossed and bent in a double and you take off like that 150 times, like you're wearing and tearing on your ACL, and it's going to be like the straw that broke the camel's back one day where your knee's just going to give out. And that could be like in a layout. It's really nice to see large gyms supporting that movement. Like you just look at these gyms that are doing drills, like even like Ramel and Kenny, like following them 10 years ago, they were like spot, 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 spot. And now like Ramel is the first one who's like, I'm getting older. I'm not spotting as much. Here's the drills that I'm doing though. And that's so cool to see because that was not a thing back then. So it's nice to see like a focus on drills. One of the biggest things for me when I left coaching All-Star, I feel like I was like one of those voices that just like you could not shut up because I was like, there's not enough level progressions. Like, where are the level progressions coming out of gymnastics where it's like levels 1 through 10? Everything you do forward, you do backwards. Everything you do on your right leg, you have to do on your left leg. And that's for safety and skill development and body development. And in cheer, that didn't exist. And now they've implemented all of these level progressions where some people get pissed. They're like, oh my God, like this is outrageous. We should just go back. And I'm like, no, like this is what it's like for your sport to evolve in the right direction.
Yeah, there was a lot of big jumps within like now that I'm looking back upon it. Yeah. Well, even like the double doubles were crazy from like going from level 4 to level 5. Like the fact that you get a full and then you're on teams where a double double is in like a high range, like that doesn't match anything.
Yeah, literally. At the end of the day, when you're missing those level progressions, it's really important because what is the message that we're sending to kids? And the message that we're sending to kids is, well, now you can just go ahead and learn that skill versus no, you're going to get dinged on your score sheet now if you have a bad layout. Or I think a lot of people in the cheer industry that even like I know personally, like Shay Crawford and Ramel and like Roman and Debbie Love, of course, like they're all pushing so hard to get these proper progressions in place. Like they see the future kind of with these kids, and it's just so nice, so refreshing to see.
I totally agree with everything that you said, like how cheer has changed. I know even it's still changing with safety with children. I don't know the international teams that they had is you could have like very old people with a 12-year-old on the international teams, and finally they're changing that. I believe
Thank God.
Next year, right?
Yeah, I think they changed it already. Like I know ICU is definitely changed, and then now it's gonna be like then they moved it from 12 and then you had to be 14 and now they're upping it again. Like as a small business owner, I can understand someone's argument to be like, hey, I only have 16 people at my gym and one of them's a 14-year-old who can fly, and my partner wants to join the team and he is 36. So like I can understand the argument. However, like there's just like no reality. Like from someone who's coming from the USAG world, who came from that not great place, who knows firsthand what it's like to have minors with adults, there's just no world in which a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old needs to be with someone 18 plus on a team. Like it's two different worlds. The influence that they have, the rhetoric, you just never want to go near that. Like they are minors at the end of the day, and your liability as like people who are business owners, people who are coaches on the floor, and people who are quite frankly over 18, like your liability to be in front of a child is astronomical. So I'm really glad that USASF and Varsity and everyone was like, actually, nope, this is what it's going to be. And I super applaud them for that.
I was very happy to see that change with the whole cheer thing that happened, like with Jerry and Monica. I'm glad cheerleading's getting bigger, so they're being called out for it finally. Because I feel like everything was
Totally.
under the rubs. Like that whole Navarro thing, if they weren't popular, like that would have been not even known for a long time. Like I don't know if that would ever come out.
Well, think about like, because when we're on Stars, like you tend to just develop these relationships with other big gyms and other big teams. And like think about how many times you were probably exposed to a situation where it's like this coach is texting a 16-year-old
Mhm. Oh
on
yeah.
at those gyms, right? And because it's like not, it wasn't on Netflix and it wasn't publicized, like it didn't become anything, but like the whole Jerry thing, like that whole like cheer scandal, in my head, like when I first read it, I was like, this is one of 100 things.
Yes, I was thinking the
Yeah.
same thing.
Things, you know, the curtain has to fall eventually, and the curtain is definitely tearing on Varsity. And you know what? At least I can give them credit. Like they are righting their wrongs a little bit and they are making changes because they want to sustain being the company that they are, right?
Yeah, and kids are being protected. Yeah, at the end of the day. And then
Yeah.
we said about tumbling. I actually talked to Kenny Wu about that, about all the changes that have been occurring. I always loved going to the Debbie Love. I can't speak highly enough about Debbie Love because she taught me about just my round, like she fixed my round off. She like made my tumbling so pretty. And
Yeah.
she took time and the drill, like she would give me drills and I would do them over and over. And at the time when I was cheering, I don't like it was like drills were a big thing, but she really just honed in on it. The fact that that's now becoming a bigger thing within the sport, like, no, you have to actually land all the way around, stick, stand, and clean, like
Yeah.
halfway make it, and then like jump. I remember one time, I don't know if it was on Twinkles or something, Chrissy going, I don't care if you land to the side, just jump to like the
Oh,
front or something,
yeah.
like to make sure it looks like a fool. Because there was a girl that couldn't,
Oh my
she would get
God.
stuck in a twist. But it would count. She landed and stood up. So definitely I love saying all the changes that they're making with technique. The skills, although they're not as crazy, who's calling me? Although the skills are not as crazy as they once were, like the double doubles or like I remember Odyssey having standing doubles in the routines.
Yes. Oh
Like
my God. The tuck double.
so yeah, we're not getting that stuff, but at least it's becoming more uniformed and better technique, which I really
Yeah.
really
That's
like.
all I care about.
It's good from 10 years ago to now.
Shit, I know. You know what though? If it takes 10 years, it takes 10 leaves. At least it's like moving in the right direction. That's all I can ever say. On Stars, I never had a good experience at NCA. Never. That was the first meet where like I was shook to my core with fear. I remember stepping out and I was shaking. I had never experienced a stage like that in my life. And if you're World Cup and you're coming up through the years and you're performing at these meets, that's probably like a good transition to that stage. But the
I was
largest me,
my first time going into the arena. They had, yeah. I was like,
and were you not like terrified?
well, yeah. When I was 10, when I was like 9, I definitely, and then they moved youth to like the other, like not the big arena because they needed more time in the arena.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I actually was very scared because just for Twinkles, you just go for NC, that's like your biggest competition, and then you're pretty much done for the year. So it's like all
Oh
or
yeah.
nothing. You're
Yeah.
like, this is it.
That was your world.
Yeah, that was my world pretty much because they didn't have Summit or anything like that in 2009.
Yeah. That was a meet that always struck a lot of fear in me. And I mean, we hit our stunt and it was fine, but like I'm pretty sure we came in like third or fourth in 2014. And what a time. That was like after we came back from that, it was like we're changing the routine, we're changing everything. Remember they wanted us to dance. So Lyric is in the DC area, so we like hang out sometimes. And we were like, do you remember when they wanted us to dance to the Harlem Shake? And like Tessa was supposed to come out of the pyramid and start dancing while we're all still in.
Really? I thought it was
What?
Charlie that was supposed to dance. It was Tessa?
No, it was Tessa. Because
Okay.
Tessa was center and they were supposed to
Okay.
drop her from the prep. And then we were all supposed to be in structure. And then they were going to have Tessa start. And then it was going to be do the Harlem Shake. And then all of the stars were supposed to start dancing. And Ty was like, this is such a good idea. And Joelle was like, absolutely not. So instead, we danced to like some Mickey Mouse fun bop.
Yeah. We fell.
I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I just didn't like jumping to my stomach. That was the one thing that I just hated doing at the end of the routine, where you're like, gotta hustle, gotta bustle, and then like jump.
I was up. I was the
Oh,
pointer.
come on. It was terrible. I was like dive bombing onto the floor.
I loved it because I was just like,
Oh,
mom.
wait, yeah. Who were the 3 people that pointed? It was you.
I think it was me, Kelsey, and Katie, right?
I didn't think
I could be so wrong.
I'm putting Charlie to everything.
Was it Charlie? I didn't think it was Charlie.
I'll watch the video and maybe I'll put like the names. But I
I
remember
thought for sure it was or was it Carly?
but favorite stars routine of all time, and then just favorite cheerleading routine of all time, and then we're done with the interview.
So 2015 for shooting stars, like that was my favorite stars routine of all time.
It's so weird that you say that because I remember getting the routine and being like, I hate this routine. I hate it.
Really? Oh, it was such a show to like, I don't know how it must have felt performing it, but like watching it was like the epitome of World Cup shooting stars.
Well, yeah, looking back now, I'm like, I was a little dramatic. Yeah, because the cry, I hated the cry part because for some reason, I couldn't get my arm around my leg.
That was a freaking hard stunt.
I guess I was 15. I was coming into my teenage years a little bit more. So I was like, this is the worst.
Stars is so unique. Like something that I've always loved is like they break the mold constantly of what like all-star cheer is, and the fact that it was like theater, it was like Broadway, it was production, it was like everything. Put it to you this way, if it's not shooting stars, no one could have done that routine. No other team in the country could have performed that routine. So like I just think it's iconic.
I just saw a post about that. It was a TikTok, I think. Someone just said like who does themes best, and it was just like all these different teams trying to do themes, and then it was just like stars do the best.
Yeah.
Because I think what's so great, like I do love Top Gun, I do love all their themes, but sometimes the fact that stars can do a theme without any props or anything like that and just use the stunts, they use the jumps, they use their choreography to just make that theme come alive. Like, who would have thought Jersey Boys would be like a theme that you could do?
Yeah.
I don't know. Want to know probably why we did it? It was because Joelle loves the Jersey Boys. Like, I think that's
literally.
Joelle and Lane love the Jersey Boys. So that's why we did it. And we just thought it matched up well. So the fact that stars can do that, I don't think a lot of teams can pull that off. Like be able to do and cry. Like what team can do that? Or like
literally, I think like you made such a good point. If you strip back like the uniforms and just put everyone in a blank uniform, like whose routine is still a performance and a theme, and like it's always stars, like yeah, we might do something with our hair, or we like might put something in our hair, but like it's the choreo, it's the way you grab a stunt, it's the way you transition, it's the way you get out of a stunt, it's the tumbling, like all these things, just the people that they bring into choreograph, the way that they do these themes, it's like it's so genius, and like it just tells a story without it like pressing in your face. Because I agree with you, like I love Top Gun, I live for their routines. They're absolutely like incredible masters of their work, but like they do the theatrical to a different extent. Like they put on the costume, but then their routine is always very Top Gun versus like a star's routine is different every single time, every year. Like you never look at it and say that's a World Cup routine, but every time you look at a Top Gun routine, you're like, that is a Top Gun routine.
Yeah, I think 2015, even 2017 was such a cool year to play around with, is because like Dancing with the Stars is just so cute. I remember they tell like sitting down and being like, it's Dancing with the Stars. I'm like, why didn't we do that before? Like, that's just the cutest little thing, and you can do so much with it, and they did. Well,
It was so cute the way that you guys like did the stunts, like the part, even like the partnering with the stunts in the air, like it was so cute. I just remember like, God, this is another great routine. But yeah, I think there's been a couple. I think for me, definitely Jersey Boys, just because like you said, like who would have thought
yes.
Jersey Boys,
Yeah.
and who would have thought that it would have like the way that it translated on the mat was like so genius, and only stars could have done that. So it's like that, and like cha-cha was just so innovative for its time, and like so cool and unique. It was like, oh my God, these are just amazing, you know?
Yeah, I think the best routines are ones that like people know still today. Like you could just see
Yeah.
Stars 2015 or like Top Gun, I'm coming up with this 2014, and you just automatically know like maybe not the whole routine, but like parts of it that like kind of stick with you. And I think
Yeah,
stars have a lot of routines like that, especially like 2015. So that's a good year to
totally.
choose. I don't think anyone chose
Yeah.
that. So
Oh, well, there you go. Favorite routine of all time. So there was this one F5 routine, and I want to say it was 2012. Um,
it
to
was
me, when I,
when they won Worlds, or
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it'd be 2011.
Was
No.
it 2011? It was one of those years. It was 2012 or 2011, I
Yeah,
think.
I know which one you're talking about because I love that routine too.
It was like the most, I felt like I could run through a brick wall after that routine. I was so hyped. And like, it was so, the energy just kept building, building, building. Like, it was such a cool routine. And it wasn't over the top. That one year with F5, it was just like, they were like, we're going to stick to who we are. This is who we are. This is what we embody. And like, this is what we're coming out here. And this is going to be our show. And it was their show. And it was like, holy crap. It was just so powerful, and just like made you want to cheer. Like, it just made you want to get up and do the whole routine. And I knew that routine, like start to finish. Like, I was obsessed with it. And it wasn't like, you know how like senior elite would have like iconic moments, like the Maddie Gardner like ball up stretch type, stunts. And there's moments, but like that whole F5 routine was a moment. Like, every part of that routine was a moment. And I just remember being like, this is so cool. And I think it was the year, maybe I'm mixing up years, but I think it was the year that they all rolled in with like, with the limos, and they had those glasses. So they were like, roll up, like they're like, got, this was like zebra was still a thing. And they have these F5
I know
sunglasses.
exactly. I've seen those photos, I think. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And they were just like a vibe. And I was just like, oh my God, like I want to be them. Like, that's what it made me feel like.
Remember their like loving their pyramid. It was like Twisters never something, never fall and always rise above it all. I love
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And then I love the center flyer. That's all I remember from that year.
The female tumblers they had on like on their team at that time for that time, they were like breaking the mold. Like, not just guys can tumble, and it was so powerful. And I was like, damn, these people are like, they're just incredible at what they do.
I know that year because I did like bed pyramids to their music.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what it made you want to do. And I was just like obsessed with them. So,
All right. Well, that's all the questions I have. So thank you so
so
much for
fun.
coming on and talking. I had so much fun catching up. It's been
I know, me
too many
too.
years.
I know, seriously.
All right, so that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, we did talk about child safety within All-Star Cheerleading, just our experiences and what we've seen and the changes that Varsity has made. So, link down below in like my description of this video, I'll have resources provided for you guys to read and use if needed. I'm just glad, exactly what Kat said in this video, that we're moving in the right direction and Varsity's taking this seriously. So I applaud Varsity for that. I put Kat's Instagram and her Acro Gym's Instagram and her website all down below. So please check that out, because what she's doing is she's being a pioneer within Acro and tumbling. So please check her gym, give her all the support. What else? Oh, follow me on all social media platforms, as you know, down below. Like, subscribe, comment down below any other ideas or people that you want me to interview as well. I am so excited for next week's episode. I will hype this one up because this person I haven't talked to in years, and she's my favorite. I don't want to spoil too much. I've missed her so much, and we'll have so much to catch up on and maybe some things to spill. So please come back next week because I think you'll really like this next person. Bye, guys.